Welcome to Grandma Tales Corner, where every story carries a heartbeat and every heartbeat carries a memory. Here, we share true-to-life tales about love, family, forgiveness, and the moments that shape who we become. If you love emotional, heart-touching stories told from the soul, please subscribe and stay with us. Your support helps keep these stories alive and warm. Now, sit back, take a deep breath, and let's begin today's story. They say a mother's love never fades. But nobody tells you what happens when the child you raised decides she's outgrown you. My name is Margaret Wells, and I'm 74 years old. I've lived in Maplewood, Ohio, my whole life. The kind of small town where everyone waves from their porch and remembers your birthday. I never thought I'd end up alone here, not after all the years I gave to building a home, raising a family, and putting everyone else's needs before my own. But life has a cruel way of reminding you that love doesn't always return the way you give it. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon, warm and windy. One of those days where the sky looks like it can't decide between rain and sunshine. My daughter, Karen, had been distant for months. She's 42, with 2 kids and a husband who works in tech. They moved into my house after the pandemic hit, said they needed to get back on their feet. I didn't hesitate for a second. I gave them my master bedroom and moved myself into the small guest room. I thought I was doing what any mother would do, but over time, my home stopped feeling like mine. They changed the curtains, replaced my old oak table with something modern, and even boxed up my photo albums to make space. Every change felt like a quiet erasure of my life, one framed picture at a time. At first, I ignored it. I told myself I was being too sensitive. But things got worse. Karen began sighing whenever I asked about dinner plans. Her husband, Todd, rarely looked up from his laptop. My grandkids stopped hugging me goodnight. The house that once rang with laughter had turned into a cold museum of routines. Then came that Tuesday. I was folding laundry when I heard the front door slam. Karen stood there with tears in her eyes and anger written all over her face. "Mum," she said sharply, "we can't do this anymore." I blinked, confused. "Do what, honey?" "This," she said, gesturing around the house, "living like this. You being here, it's too much. You're holding us back." My heart dropped so fast it felt like the air left the room. "Holding you back?" I whispered. "Karen, this is my home." "Not anymore," she snapped. "We need our own space, Mum. We need to grow as a family. You make everything about the past." I didn't even know what to say. Before I could answer, she walked into my room, my little guest room, grabbed my suitcase, and started throwing my clothes into it. "Karen!" I cried, "please stop. Let's talk about this." But she didn't stop. Her hands moved faster, trembling. Tears ran down her face, but her voice stayed cold. "You raised me to stand on my own," she said. "Well, that's what I'm doing." By the time Todd came in, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, clutching my rosary. He didn't say a word, just picked up the suitcase and placed it by the door. I walked out slowly, my legs heavy as if dragging the years of motherhood behind me. My grandkids watched from the stairs, silent, confused, holding their tablets. No one said goodbye. That night, I sat in my old Buick outside Lakeview Motel. The neon sign buzzed like a tired heartbeat. I stared at the sky and thought about every time I'd held Karen as a child. Her fevers, her heartbreaks, her graduations. I thought about how I sold my wedding ring to help her through college, how I worked double shifts at the diner after my husband died. And now here I was, homeless in the very town where I once built a home. For days I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. But then something changed. One morning, the motel owner, a kind woman named Nancy, knocked on my door with a plate of pancakes. She said, "You look like someone who needs a friend." And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Nancy told me about a senior community nearby, quiet, affordable, and full of people who played cards and gardened together. I hesitated, but I went to visit. There were flowers blooming, birds chirping, and laughter spilling out of the common room. It didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a beginning. I moved in that weekend. The first few nights were strange. I kept expecting to hear my grandkids' laughter or Karen calling for help with the dishes. But instead, I heard something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. I started painting again, joined a little choir at the chapel, and on Sundays, I sit by the window with a cup of tea and watch the sun dip behind the hills. I still miss my daughter. God knows I do. But I've learned that sometimes love means letting people go, even when they don't leave gently. A few weeks ago, Karen came by. She looked smaller somehow, her confidence dimmed. She stood at my doorway holding flowers. "Mum," she whispered, "I'm sorry." I looked at her, my child, my pain, my heart, and I realised forgiveness isn't about pretending nothing happened. It's about choosing peace over bitterness. So I smiled. "It's okay, sweetheart," I said softly. "I've found where I belong." She cried then, really cried, and for a moment I saw my little girl again. Final reflection. If you're a mother reading this and your children have forgotten the warmth you gave them, remember this: you are not a burden. You are the root, not the weed, and even if they push you out, your love still grows in the spaces they don't see. Because a mother's love doesn't end at the door. It travels with every heartbeat that ever called you Mum.